Up on the world today. President Muhammadu Buhari addresses Nigerians on various issues as the country celebrates 61 years of independence. Australian border to reopen in November after 18-month closure. Plus, US President Joe Biden suffers blow as trillion-dollar infrastructure plan vote delayed. Hello and a happy Independence Day to Nigerians all around the world. I'm Teniola Shoboale. We begin here in Nigeria as citizens mark 61 years after the country gained independence from Britain. The festivities began with the president's address to the people before parade by the armed forces. There are also celebrations by different state governments. In his nationwide broadcast to mark the nation's 61st independence anniversary, President Muhammadu Buhari says high-profile individuals, including a member of the National Assembly, are financing secessionist leaders like Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho.
In the face of challenges confronting the country, President Muhammadu Buhari used the occasion of the nation's 61st independence anniversary to rally Nigerians to have a positive outlook and determination to make Nigeria a peaceful and prosperous nation.
Through words or action.
In the broadcast, he tries to highlight some of the achievements of his administration in infrastructure development while directing the Ministry of Agriculture to address the looming food crisis in the country.
As our food production capacity has increased, food prices have been going up due to artificial shortages created by middlemen who have been buying and holding these essential commodities for profiteering. To address this, I am hereby directing the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to rehabilitate the National Food Reserve Agency and also work with security agencies, the Nigerian Commodity Exchange, and the National Assembly to find a lasting solution to these disruptive and unpatriotic hoarding activities.
This week, the National Assembly asked the president to take steps to address the security situation in the country, especially the activities of bandits. But President Buhari is concerned about the high-profile Nigerians behind some secessionists.
We shall continue to work on dialogue-based solutions to address legitimate grievances, but we remain ready to take decisive actions against secessionist agitators and their sponsors who threaten our national security. The recent arrests of Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho and the ongoing investigations being conducted have revealed certain high-profile financiers behind these individuals. We are vigorously pursuing these financiers, including one identified as a serving member of the National Assembly.
The president also explains the conditions for lifting the ban on the microblogging site Twitter.
Following the suspension of Twitter operations, Twitter Incorporated reached out to the federal government of Nigeria to resolve the impasse. Following the extensive engagements, the issues are being addressed, and I have directed that the suspension be lifted, but only if the conditions are met to allow our citizens continue to use the platform.
President Buhari remains confident that his administration's target of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years is achievable, albeit in the face of the high inflation rate and rising unemployment figure.
Our congratulations messages continue to pour in as Nigerians celebrate. The British High Commission says it celebrates with the Nigerian people and hails the strong relationship between both countries.
we celebrate with you those moments, and I think it's really important that we do. And the strong and vibrant British-Nigerian connection, it's not just 61 years, it's today. It's the students who've gone off to university in the UK, it's people who have spent time in the UK, it's the really vibrant music partnerships that we have. So, you know, we see it not just as a celebration of the past, it's a celebration of the present, really, which is fantastic.
Happy birthday to Nigeria on the 1st of October. We had huge plans actually to do a massive Diaspora event. It hasn't been enough time to do it this year, but I hope we'll do it next year because, as Ben said, there's a huge amount to celebrate. It's a long, deep partnership. It's our most important partnership in Africa, and it's the foundation is the people-to-people links. You know, massive diaspora in the UK, sport, music, fashion, as well as tech and innovation. These are the kind of foundations which will enable it to endure, and to be able to endure little hiccups along the way, because, you know, we're sovereign countries, we're not going to agree on everything, but we can respectfully disagree and maintain that foundation.
I speak now to a Nigerian in the diaspora. Mr. Dayo Fadino is an immigration lawyer in the UK. Mr. Fadino, happy Independence Day to you. As a Nigerian in the diaspora, what do you make of the country's 61st independence this year?
Good evening, Tani. In fact, I don't even know where to start. But one thing I would know and want to say is this. I think the pertinent question we should be asking ourselves is, what are we really celebrating about Nigeria today? There's been this echolalia and this repetition of celebrating the 1st of October every single year. But the question we should be asking ourselves is, in the last 61 years, what are we truly celebrating in sooth? Are we actually celebrating the success or the failure of a nation state for the last 61 years? Are we is it the case that we are celebrating a country that is more or less the poverty capital in the world today? Is there anything to be celebrating about? That kind of, dire situation in a country like Nigeria? Are we celebrating a country where well over 80% of the population does not have access to basic medical care? Are we celebrating a country where the level of insecurity at this point in time is so bad that people could be kidnapped for ransom, people could be shot dead on the streets, and there will be no repercussions or anything happening to the people actually doing the killing or the kidnapping? I mean, these are the key questions we should truly and really be asking ourselves. And for me, yes, I love Nigeria, but I actually stopped celebrating this 1st of October for more than 15 years. It's not something that really comes to mind in form or in terms of celebration at all.
And we have to note that there has been, progress made. But I want to ask, in terms of the diaspora community, how well would you say the Nigerian government has fared in supporting and celebrating Nigerians around the world?
Supportive, somewhat, but not very much. And there's ample evidence of that lack of support all over the Nigerian high commissions and embassies all over the world. All you just need to do is to at least speak to a few people in every single country all over the world. They've not particularly been very supportive at all. You want to apply for a Nigerian passport, it could take months. Extortionate fees, so many terrible things happening. And the Nigerian high commissions or the embassies all over the world, particularly the one in London, do not intervene or do not actually come out to support and help that Nigerian citizen. So there's clear evidence of the fact that that's not the case at all in many of the countries all over the world. I hope and I pray that they could improve on the support of Nigerians and the well-being of Nigerians all over the world.
All right, then, Mr. Dayo Fadino, thank you so much for your thoughts on the program, and once again, a happy Independence to you.
Happy Independence to you too. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let's take a look at some other stories now. Australia will reopen its international border from November, giving long-awaited freedoms to vaccinated citizens and their relatives. Since March 2020, Australia has had some of the world's strictest border rules, even banning its own people from leaving the country. The policy has been praised for helping to suppress COVID, but it has also separated families. Here's more on this and other developments on our COVID-19 Global Update.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced that Australians will soon be allowed to travel overseas, 18 months after they were forced to lock down within their country as the coronavirus pandemic began sweeping across the globe.
It will be time very soon that we will be able to open those international borders again, and that will enable Australians who are fully vaccinated and Australians and residents of Australia who are overseas, who are fully vaccinated, to be able to travel again and to be able to lift those caps on our airports in states where they have moved into phase C of the program. And that is where Australia is now preparing to move. This will happen next month. That's when it'll start happening from next month.
Plans to allow tourists and other foreign travellers into the country will be worked out soon, following the first phase of reopening. Japan has emerged out of a COVID state of emergency for the first time in more than 6 months. The emergency measures ended on Thursday evening, although mask rules in public transportation are still in place. Israel's health ministry has identified fewer than 10 cases of heart inflammation following a third dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine among millions administered.
Israel is the pioneer of the third dose of the vaccines against the COVID virus. We're seeing profound efficacy of the vaccines. It's working, it's safe, and it's the way to defeat this virus. We need all together to work together in order to defeat it. We from Israel are going to share all the data, all the information, all the insights in this pioneering.
Israel began administering boosters to risk groups in July, and by the end of August expanded its campaign to include anyone above the age of 12, 5 months or more after a second dose. According to interim clinical trial results, Merck & Co. incorporated experimental oral drug for COVID-19, molnupiravir, reduced by around 50% the chance of hospitalization or death for patients at risk of severe disease. The company plans to seek U.S. emergency use authorization for the pill as soon as possible, and to submit applications to regulatory agencies worldwide. If authorized, the drug, which is designed to introduce errors into the genetic code of the virus, would be the first oral antiviral medication for COVID-19. Finally, the Vatican has started requiring the Green Pass health certificate, showing proof of immunity from COVID-19 from visitors. The measure, that is already widely used in surrounding Italy, is part of the Vatican's efforts to curb the spread of COVID-19, and they were issued in response to a request from Pope Francis. An exception will be made for those attending Mass for the time strictly necessary for the rite.
Still to come on the program. Well, it's Fridays for Future and youth climate activists march in Milan. More details in a moment. Stay with us. With U.S. U.S. President Joe Biden has suffered a setback after Congress delayed a vote on a $1 trillion infrastructure plan. Part of his Democratic Party refuses to move forward with the plan until Congress signs off on a separate $3.5 trillion plan on welfare and climate change. That plan is at the heart of the party's agenda for government. The $1 trillion public works bill would apply to routine transportation, broadband, water systems, and other projects. Our Washington correspondent Maria Bird joins us now for more on this. Maria, this sounds like a good deal. It just helps us understand what's happening here. Why the setback?
This is a major setback for the Biden administration, and unfortunately, this could be very detrimental to his entire administration. And as we know, he came in office touting an infrastructure plan, touting climate change, and also talking about ways he was going to ensure that American families were helped. And so this is very concerning. We know that many progressive Democrats are saying they're not going to vote for a bill that's scaled down, that does not meet the needs of the welfare of American families. And then we have those centrist and moderate Democrats who are basically saying they are not going to push forward with some of the areas of welfare for Americans that deal with some of the everyday needs of Americans. And let's just understand the real issue here. The issue is that we have an infrastructure plan that will address roads, transportation, highways, but we also have a major economic issue as it relates to education for American skill sets and employment of Americans. And so the concern from those progressive Democrats is the fact that how can someone enjoy all the roads and enjoy all the transportation upgrades if we don't also address the American families, the welfare of them as a whole?
So what happens next now? When is the vote likely to take place?
Well, they are back at it today. They are stating that they are going to continue to push forward. There's obviously going to be continued conversations between President Biden, his administration, and congressional members to try to come to a deal. But we probably will be seeing over the next few days, since we've not made what the speaker has said was her deadline. Since that deadline has passed now, we will likely see over the next coming days that we will continue to see that coming up probably sometime next week.
And Maria, just before I let you go, what has the president said regarding this? I mean, this is a huge setback for him.
Major setback. I think that he's hopeful. You're going to probably see him continue to talk about how he's moving forward with trying to create relationships, focusing on his deal-making expertise, his long history, being in the Senate himself, being a congressional member himself. And so he's going to definitely focus on those relationships and trying to figure out how to make a deal. But I can guarantee you that this is probably one of the toughest deals he's ever had to bring forth. And we have to remember, there has not been this type of a bill brought forth in this major overhauling in the U.S. in more than 70 years. There's never been this type of dollars discussed around an infrastructure plan and economic recovery. And so this is obviously something that we knew was going to be very challenging as it moved forward.
All right, then, Maria, we appreciate the update.
Thank you for having me.
It's Friday, and that means young people around the world are calling on world leaders to take more action on climate change. Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg and Ugandan activist Vanessa Nakate closed Milan's Fridays for Future climate strike, criticizing world leaders for what they say is a lack of action on climate change. The activists have been in Milan to participate in a Youth for Climate meeting ahead of a pre-COP26 summit where environment ministers and youths are set to thrash out a working framework ahead of the Glasgow COP26 meeting in November.
Right now, here in Milano, ministers from all over the world have gathered here to discuss the climate crisis, and they are pretending that they have solutions to the climate crisis and that they are taking sufficient action. But we see through their lies, and we see through their blah blah blah, and we are tired of it.
Climate justice is only justice if it includes everyone. It is only justice if the communities and areas and people who are facing the worst impacts of the climate crisis are listened to and not just tokenized, listened to, and their stories are put into consideration and the action that they are demanding for is given. So we'll keep striking, we'll keep demanding, and we will not allow to be silenced. Many times they say we want to give voice to the voiceless, but we are not voiceless. We have been speaking for a very long time, and we are just getting stronger.
And finally on the program, the first World Fair to be held in the Middle East, Expo 2020 Dubai, is opened with a lavish ceremony of fireworks, music and message about the power of global collaboration for a more sustainable future. Various stars headlined the opening ceremony, which was projected in public spaces around the UAE. Our correspondent, Mayowa Adigoke, has all the details for us.
Breathtaking displays, special effects and captivating musical performances achieve Dubai's desired effect as it kicks off the 6-month-long Expo 2020 in the Al Wasl Plaza. It's the first Expo hosted in the Middle East, Africa and South Asia region in 170 years of the Expo. This time, 192 participating countries will take up space in 200 pavilions available. Multi-Grammy Award winner Angelique Kidjo is among 5 global artists performing at the event, bringing attention to Africa. This expo will see all African countries have their own unique pavilions for the first time in Expo history.
Expo 2020 Dubai, wallah wali at-tawfiq.
UAE top leadership attends the event that's strictly by invitation, but small celebrations hold across the city.
I'm extremely happy. Dubai is full, tourists are here, and I have the feeling that soon we'll stop wearing masks and we are ready for the Expo. I'm so happy. This is a big and a good development. I'm really excited for us to come.
Residents watch the event unfold online or on multiple screens in public areas, including restaurants. Old Castello in Jumeirah 1 even has a special dish to celebrate the occasion.
So we are going to have the special potato cheese balls, and around it is going to be the Expo logo. So we have tried to attempt and make a good amuse-bouche. It's a palate taster that we want to give throughout the month of October as a good way of, thanking the leadership for starting something so beautiful. Now about 25 million people are expected during this time. So we're expecting a good number of people to come in, and yes, it's good for our business as well.
We're going to have the whole world here. We're ready to welcome them with a city that is back to its vibe. So come on everyone, join us. Dubai is back to normal and back to life.
Despite the pandemic, Dubai says it's expecting 25 million visitors as originally planned. A bold ask for a world still reeling from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. From Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, Mayowa Adigoke for Channels Television News.
And that's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shoboale. Have a lovely weekend.